It's time for a music video, and I've been doing a series of my favourite songs in the 60s because in the 60s I wasn't really at an age to appreciate the albums until late on, but I've decided to continue it, and this is my top songs of 1967. Some of them may have appeared on albums, but they're individual songs, and I'm going to do a top 20 and two videos, 11 to 20, and then the top 10. So we'll start off with the 11 to 20, and before we get on to 20, a few songs that just missed the cut, so to speak, these are in no particular preference, but it has to be said that the Turtles' Happy Together was a great song. Grooving by the Rascals, I also like that one. I like the sort of chorus line. And then a very famous one that probably many would think, well, why haven't you got that one, John? I'm a Believer by the Monkees, which of course was almost heard every week on their TV comedy show. So those are the three that haven't made it. I'm now going to go on to those that got into the 11 to 20. Okay, so at number 20, Dedicated to the One I Love by the Mama and the Papas. It was a song that was written by Lauman Pauling and Ralph Bass, and it was a hit for Pauling's band, the Royals, and the Shirelles, and then third time up, the Mamas and the Papas, and I do believe this probably was the most popular, and it went to number 2 in the Billboard Hot 100, and also highly in the UK chart. That's where I lived, of course, and radio. The lead singer on this one was Michelle Phillips. Usually lead vocals had been taken care of by Mama Cass Elliot, but she moved over for this one. And for me, it was very much associated with the hippie revolution, particularly in view of how the band dressed in their multicoloured hippie clothes. So that's my number 20. At 19, Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues, written and composed by Justin Hayward. It was first featured as a segment the night on the album Days of Future Past, an album that I'm not that familiar with, but it was released as a single in '67 and very successful in the UK and the States. It was the first significant success for the band in the singles chart since their early beginnings with the song Go Now. And of course, Denny Laine had moved on by the time we got to Nights in White Satin. It's a very lush ballad with strings, very, very pleasant on the ear. And so it's like my number 19, Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues. Now, The Loving Spoonful. I had a lot of time for this band, and this song, Darling Be Home Soon, a very sort of sentimental track, really, written by John Sebastian for the soundtrack of a Francis Ford Coppola film, You're a Big Boy Now. I haven't seen that movie, but it sounds like it might be worth checking out. And Sebastian performed the composition at Woodstock, although, of course, originally it was with a band, The Loving Spoonful, and they had a number of hits in the mid-60s to late 60s. And it's about a plea for a partner to spend a few more minutes talking before leaving. And the message being you never know if the other person was actually there listening or were already gone in a relationship. Described as one of the most heartfelt songs about being away from a loved one, and written from the point of view of a musician on the road. So there we have it, Darling Be Home Soon. And of course I will have links to all these songs in the description. 17, another West Coast of America song White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, written by Grace Slick and recorded for the album Surrealistic Pillow, which came out in 1967. Released as a single and became another top 10 success for the band on the Billboard charts. And it used imagery found in the fantasy works of one Lewis Carroll through his infamous books Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, released in the 1860s. And basically it's a sort of critique really about the fact that these books were used by parents to describe bedtime stories to their children, and it actually it reflected changing size after taking some pills or drinking some unknown liquid. And Slick was critical of this because she reckoned that there may well have been a fascination that children took through into adolescence and started to experiment with illegal drugs. Possibly. It's a great song though, very strident. The Penny Lane by the Beatles. Of course, it was a double A-side single with Strawberry Fields Forever on the other side. And the lyrics, of course, refer to Penny Lane, a street in Liverpool, and the sights and the characters in that area that Paul McCartney recalled from his upbringing in the city. Now, the session musician David Mason played an absolutely terrific piccolo trumpet solo for its bridge section, and it was regarded as very unique and something which had never ever been heard in rock music before. It was in a sort of mock baroque style, and I noted from my Wikipedia exploits that this musician was paid a measly 27 quid and 10 shillings for the session, but it achieved international recognition. And this pastiche really is reflective of every sort of fanfare ever blown, and it casts a magical spell that allows the Beatles to insert the risque lyric, 4 of fish and finger pies. Wonder what that was about in the chorus. And a critic on classical music described Mason's contribution as surreal, unearthly. It's just a fantastic song as far as I'm concerned, but a little bit of the history. So that's Penny Lane at number 16. 15 is the classic soul song Knock on Wood by Eddie Floyd, written by Floyd and Steve Cropper. And Floyd was the originator of the recording. Cropper stated in interviews that there was a lightning storm the night that he and Eddie wrote the song, hence the lyrics, "It's like thunder, lightning, the way you love me is frightening." Great lyric, great song. I've got quite a mix of UK and American singles here. Back to the UK for 14. This is Hole in My Shoe by Traffic, and it featured a spoken word midsection by Chris Blackwell's stepdaughter, Francine Heineman. Blackwell, of course, was responsible for Island Records, and Traffic had signed to them. And in the spoken word, she tells a little story about a giant albatross. It reached number 2 in the UK singles charts. It was composed by the then guitarist Dave Mason, but wasn't too popular with the other 3 members of the band, particularly Winwood, who felt that it didn't represent the band's musical or lyrical style. It certainly was pigeonholed as one of those psychedelic songs from '67, but I absolutely love it. It's number 14, it's Hole in My Shoe by Traffic. And up next at number 13, Flowers in the Rain by The Move. The first record to be played on BBC Radio 1, a new station which was launched in September 1967. The song was written by Roy Wood The basis of the Flowers in the Rain was a book of fairy tales which Wood authored while at a college of art. The distinctive instrumental arrangements, including oboe, clarinet, cor anglais and French horn, was suggested by the producer, assistant producer, Tony Visconti, later infamous in the development of one David Bowie. But in a promotional stunt for this record, the band's manager, Tony Secunda, got a postcard released with a cartoon of a naked Harold Wilson in bed with his then secretary, Marcia Williams. Well, the Prime Minister didn't take too kindly to this, and he sued the move, and the High Court ordered that all royalties from the song be donated to a charity of Wilson's choice. And this legal arrangement remains in force to this day. And the cost of the group amounts to millions of pounds up to and including now. So you better be careful what you say, I guess is the message, or what you show. Censorship. Evil, isn't it? 12 then, 2 to go. All You Need Is Love by the Beatles. The song was Britain's contribution to Our World, the first global television link. And the band were filmed at EMI Studios in London on the 25th of June. And the programme was broadcast via satellite and seen by over 400 million people in 25 countries. Lennon's lyrics were deliberately simplistic to allow for the show's international audience and captured the utopian ideals associated with the Summer of Love. And the single predictably topped both the British and the American charts and many other countries, and became an anthem really for the counterculture's embrace of the flower power hippie philosophy. It's still a great sing-along, and if you've seen the video, you'll probably may have spotted 2 harmony vocalists in there, one Mick Jagger and Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. Marvellous stuff. In this first video on Top Songs of 1967 at number 11 is We Love You by the Rolling Stones. This was also a double A side. The other song was Ruby Tuesday, and it featured a prominent mellotron played by Brian Jones and reciprocated backing vocals by the Messrs Lennon and McCartney. It was written in the aftermath of the drug arrests that faced Jagger and Keith Richards after a bust at the Redlands country home of Richards in Sussex that year. We Love You opens with the sound of entry into jail and a cell door clanging shut. The draconian nature of the sentences handed down to the 2 Stones relative to the charges prompted a stern editorial in the Times on the 1st of July 1967, titled Who Breaks a Butterfly Upon a Wheel, in protest. Now the song, as I say, it was designed as a spoof really of the All You Need Is Love song, but closer examination it exposed a very strong anti-establishment stance by Mick and the boys, stating, we don't care if you hound, let's start again. We don't care if you hound, and lock the doors around and you will never win, your uniforms don't fit, which was a dig at the legal profession, the lawyers, etc. And there's a droning Moroccan influence anthem of defiance throughout the song. And they made a promotional film of the single, and it included footage from the recording sessions alongside segments of a reenactment of the 1895 trial of Oscar Wilde, with Jagger playing Wilde and Richards and Marianne Faithfull. Richards played the Marquis of Queensberry, the lawyer in the case, and Marianne Faithfull played the judge. Lord Alfred Douglas. And there's a little picture of Brian Jones looking extremely worse for wear from drugs and alcohol.